In this exercise, I'm going to show you how to distribute with respect to a key object inside of Illustrator. And this is one of the wackiest features in all of Illustrator. It just works totally different than any other program. And I'll show you what's up shortly. Now, I've gone ahead and restored the original version of OneGroupAligned.ai, which has the one group in the center aligned to the artboard. Everybody else is out of alignment. Now, we were able to distribute everybody with respect to the artboard. It worked out great in the previous exercise because the artboard and the checkers are scaled to fit each other. But let's say that wasn't the case. Let's say I was to go over to this artboard tool here. And I'll change the size of the artboard to just something random. Let's say 1,000 points wide by 1,000 points tall. So it's much bigger than it was before. I'll go ahead and zoom out, press the V key to switch back to the black arrow tool so that I leave that artboard mode. And now let's say I decided to go ahead and distribute the objects inside of this illustration with respect to the artboard. I'll check that my Align To option is set to Align to Artboard as it is. And then I'll go ahead and select this row like so and click this horizontal distribution option, and I'll select this row and click, and I'll select this row and click, and so on. And you get a sense of what's happening here. I don't really need to narrate it too much. You can see how Illustrator's doing a beautiful job of aligning the checkers to the artboard. The problem is the checkers and the artboard don't fit each other in this case. So we end up with this effect here, which is nice and everything, but it's not what I'm looking for. Let's say I want to align the checkers to the ones that are positioned properly so that they fit inside that 640 by 640 point space, regardless of the dimensions of the artboard. So let's go ahead and press Control Z or Command Z on the Mac as many times as it takes to get these checkers back where they were, like so. And I'm going to leave the artboard big as it is. So I'll just go up to the Edit menu and just make sure that Undo is set to Scale Artboard, just so that I've managed to undo all of the aligns that I applied so far, just to make sure that I have properly undone all the alignment that I've applied so far, which I have. All right, so this time around, I'm going to go ahead and select this row of checkers right here, the third tan checker down the list, the central group of 4, and the third violet checker as well. And then I'm going to change Align To from Align to Artboard to Align to Selection, which is your standard distribution method inside of other applications that are out there on the market. You're usually aligning to the selection, but if you align to the selection, then it's the extreme, in this case, left and right objects that are going to remain in position, and everything else is going to move in between. So for example, in this case, if I click on Horizontal Distribute Center, it's the central group of 4 that will move so that it is centered with respect to the position of the extreme objects. Does that make sense? That's not what I want, of course, because this guy used to be exactly where I wanted him to be. So I'll go ahead and press Control Z or Command Z on the Mac to undo that modification. So for example, if I were to select this group of 4 down here at the bottom, it'd be the right one and the left one that would stay in place, and the 2 in the middle would get distributed. So I'll go ahead and click on that icon so you can see what I mean. So anyway, that's not what we want. What we want instead is to distribute with respect to a key object. So I'm going to go ahead and select these guys, like so. And to set a key object, in another application, what you would do is you would go ahead and lock down this center object, like in InDesign, this is the way it works, and a lot of other applications too. You would lock down the object that you don't want to see move, and then that would fix the position of that object, and the other objects would move accordingly. Problem is, if you do that inside of Illustrator, like if I go ahead and twirl open this checkers layer here, and I search for the group of 4 there, and I lock it by clicking to bring up its little lock icon right there, then I deselect the object as well. And then if I try to shift click on it or something like that, I can't get it. And that's because locked objects inside of Illustrator cannot be selected. So there's no aligning to a locked object because you can't select the darn thing. So I'll go ahead and turn off that lock icon right there. And then I'll shift click on the group once again to make it active. What you do instead is you set the key object, and you do that by clicking on a selected object a second time. And when you do that, notice that you get this heavy border, and that indicates that you now have a key object. And if you look at your little align icon here in the align palette, notice it has a little key inside of it. And that sets this option to align to key object automatically. All right, and we've got a little key icon up here in the control palette as well. And now if I click on the horizontal distribute center option, I get this effect right here, which is absolutely wrong. I've shown you everything you don't do so far. What in the world do you do? Well, let's go ahead and press Control Z or Command Z on the Mac. You apply this distribute spacing option right there, and I will show you how that function works, a very useful function here inside Illustrator, in the next exercise.